Alrighty, we're back everybody. We've got the some parts laid up here for the old square body. As you can see, we got the 6.0 up on the stand. We really hadn't done anything with it. We had to do some transmission work, which will be in another video, but now what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to tear this thing down a little bit. We need to see what we got. Obviously, we're not gonna use that compressor. We need to take all these accessories off. It hadn't really even been cleaned up yet, but we need to pull all these front accessories off. We need to go ahead and break it down, get these valve covers off, and we need to get the heads off. We actually haven't even drained the oil yet, so you know what? That may be the first thing that we do, but you can see we got some parts coming in. We still have some more parts coming in. We got some good stuff coming in, or we have some good stuff in right now from Tick Performance. We've got a good cam, lifters, springs, push rods. Well, actually, we got lifters from Scoggin Dickey's, but we've got a lot of good things that's coming in for it. We got some special things in that box there. We got a low clearance oil pan for this unit. So we're gonna try to strip some of this down, really just to kind of look inside the motor a little bit. We gotta get them heads off because we got some broken bolts. So I don't know if you can see those, but it's the common, the first and last bolt. Actually, that one's good. So we just only got one on this side. We have two on the other side. So we wanna take those heads off and try to get those fixed. So we're gonna get started on that. Hopefully get this motor kind of tore down a little bit. Let's drain some oil and let's get some parts laid out on the table. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is drain this oil. I gotta be honest with you, we didn't even look at it, so this could be a mess. So let's see what it looks like. This was come out of a work truck, and we probably lost some when we took it out for sure. Well, on the plug, it's just dark, no metal, so nothing crazy. Turn that a little bit. But really, it don't look too bad, so I'm gonna just drain this out of here real quick. I think the first thing we're gonna start off with is maybe taking off some of those accessories, the compressor, and just seeing what we can do there. Whoops, that was crawling back and I wasn't paying attention, and I guarantee I've made a mess. But I think what we can do is go ahead and maybe we'll go ahead and take these belts off and get some of this other stuff out of the way. We'll start on the compressor and then kind of go from there. AC belt wasn't on there very much at all. Matter of fact, I wouldn't know when the last time that thing's probably been changed. Set that out of the way. Let me grab a 15 and we'll pop the regular drive belt off. If we can get it without tipping it over. There we go. Looks like all that stuff is pretty well worn out, which obviously we'll have some new ones when we go back with it. These are, to say crusty would be an understatement, so we'll just set that over here and set that belt over here. All right, see if we can get on these. Okay, so it looks like we just got some 15s. We got to take all 4 bolts out to get the compressor out to access the bracket bolts. All right, with the compressor off, let's go ahead and take off the accessory bracket. So we got the compressor out of the way, and let's go ahead and see if we can get this, be the alternator, power steering pump, you know, all this stuff unbolted from the unit. I'm gonna run that in there a little bit just in case it tries to come back out on me. Okay, and then we should have one more here. Okay, so basically, if I go ahead and take that top one out, I should be able to remove this whole top assembly here. We're about to find out. see. Hopefully it all comes together. Well, I'm hanging on to something. Oh, I think I see what it is. I'm gonna run that one top bolt in there back just a little bit. There is a bolt that runs off the power steering bracket over here to the block. Now, I'm gonna have to hold on to it, but if I take this out, it should release everything. All right, perfect. Get my power wire. Of course, I've got these hoses zip tied, so I probably need to cut those off, and then I can set this off to the side. Now let's go ahead and take off this water pump. So we should be able to zip this off. Looks like it's going to be some 10 mils. This all here should come out in the assembly, and then if we'd like, we can pull off the crank pulley. Let's see what we can do here. Hopefully it won't be too bad. That's a problem. That just spun. That's not good. So I'm probably going to have to check that bolt out. So this one came out, so these water pump bolts are good. Just got to figure out why that one started to spin on us. It's not great. Let me see, maybe I can grab a different type socket. Got me a different 10 mil. I think I'm going to use a ratchet on it just to see if I can get it to break loose. Maybe try to keep from stripping it out. Might need to move my dustpan up here, because I'll just bet you it's probably got a little water in it. So we might want to get us a catch pan here so we can catch this up. All right, so let's get me a pan underneath here in case the water drips out, because I think once we pull this off and those gaskets let go, it's probably going to start draining some more water from the block, I would imagine. And then once we get past this, heck, we should be able to go get them valve covers and probably take the coil packs off, then valve covers, and eventually we're going to get those heads off so we can get those broken bolts out of there. That may be where, as far as we can make it on this one. Okay, if I'm thinking right, I think that's it. So let's see if it comes loose. Not yet. May be stuck, so I'm going to do it I got one bolt right there underneath and one right here. So let's see if we can zap those out real quick. Okay, that one's out. And one more underneath here. Okay, that should be all the bolts out for the water pump. Let's see if it lets go. There we go. And of course we have a little bit of antifreeze in there. So we've got the front brackets off. I want to see if I can back this balancer bolt out. And thank the Lord it come out okay. Of course, these are torqued down quite a bit, so it takes a little bit of juice to get them out. Next thing we'll do is we'll put the balancer pulley on it and then see if we can get that thing to come off. So let me show you what we got right here. Got this little puller. It presses against the stem of the crank. These ears will lock into the ears onto the crankshaft pulley. And hopefully we get that baby to just kind of walk out with no problems. You can see it kind of fits in there pretty well. Run that screw in, it'll go against the end of that crankshaft. Now I'm going to look at it to make sure it's lining up. Take my little light. I don't want it to get it started off centered or anything goofy, which would mar up the crank or damage anything. Does look like it's sitting there pretty flat. So we should be good. So what I can do is I'll take the impact and I'll probably just run that in there real slow and try to pull that thing out. Make sure this is the right size for it, which it is. Let's just see if we can back that thing out of here. Dude, that thing's weak. It bent the tabs. It's actually hitting it right on the crank, so it's not marring anything up, but it looks like it's got tabs bent. Try that again. Okay, crankshaft is being a little ornery, so we're going to go ahead and take the coil packs off, and then we're going to get these valve covers off. Okay, definitely should have cleaned these off. These are pretty disgusting. I would say this thing has been down a lot of dirt roads as a work truck. I'm going to put these studs back in here just so I don't lose them or misplace them. I probably could just take it off and put the coils back on it. But I think I'd rather just at least put these bolts back in here just so they don't get lost. Now we can take the valve cover bolts off, see what it looks like in here. And of course, those are going to be a different size. Let's go with an 8. And that's it, that's an 8. So let's pop this valve cover off, just so I want to see what the inside actually looks like. Needs to be loose. I have to give me a dead blow to kind of break that loose. I bet this thing ain't been apart in probably forever. Give it a little love tap. There we go. Yeah, it's got some sludge in there if you can see, but it's really not too bad. So I think I'll go ahead and set this valve cover up over here on the table. We'll remove the next one. We'll swap this back out for that 8. Take this valve cover off and see what it looks like. Not great. I'll bring you over and show what it looks like. Hey. Yeah, this side's pretty grimy. It's pretty bad. It's going to have some real cleanup on it. So now let's go ahead and we'll remove the rockers. I've got this loose, I got the steam ports loose, and then we'll be able to unbolt the heads and get them out of here. So we're going to back these pedestal bolts off. This bracket here, you can see this bracket here is welded to that. It's got a hole in it, so we're going to have a whole new dipstick anyway. So that's probably going to stay out of the way of the head, so I'm just going to let that ride right there. And if we got all these unbolted, let's see if we can just lift up the whole pedestal. Okay, got the rocker set out. We'll go ahead and move those over to the table. You know what, I might as well take the push rods out. We'll be going back with all new stuff on that, but I didn't want to keep them put up and in order. See if we can pull this whole pedestal up. Perfect. it should be pretty close to just coming out. Okay, set it over here on the table. Now if we've got everything cleaned out around these head bolts, I think we can go ahead and back some of these out. I think the main head bolts are going to be 15s. I'll have to double check that. Top side's going to be 10, so let's do that now. Alright, so I got the little bolts loose. I'm going to go ahead and start breaking these loose, and I'm going to start working them in the middle and working my way out, just kind of breaking them loose, and then we'll be able to run them down pretty quick. Okay, so we got all the bolts backed out. Some are a little stiffer than others. You could definitely hear the head as it started to come back up. So we'll get all these out real quick. Obviously these are one-time use. May have to get my old magnet to get that out. Where it is. There we go. Alright, so got all those. Now let's get these 10s. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those. I'm going to go set those on the table. We're going to see if we can pull this head off. And I think everything's loose from it. So the head should come up. Of course, there's still going to be maybe some water in the jackets, but I bet a lot of that poured out when we took it off. So actually, it's not that hard on there at all. Okay, that's the first look at it. You can see, set this on the table. Well, it actually feels like it had a good seal on it. Doesn't look like anything was jumping through. So that's a good thing. But there is a lot of carbon buildup in there, and I'm noticing these have some relief cuts in the pistons. Bring you in a little closer here. You can see it's got a lot of carbon on there, but you know, to be honest with you, we can clean that up. Get the light. I'm going to go ahead and wipe that down. I'm going to go ahead and pull the other head off. Then we might pull the lifters out and call it good there for tonight, because you can see my balancer pulley started it, but didn't finish it. My puller anyway. So I'm going to have to get another puller. But let's go ahead and take that other head off real quick. Set my little drill out of the way. And like I said, I think this one was ready to come. Yep, I found the water. Of course, as you would know, my drip bucket's not in the way. So definitely going to have some to clean up there. Let's go set this off to the side and we'll take a peek at it. I'm wipe some of the water out there. Definitely going to have to spray everything down so don't get rusted up while we got them off. Okay. Probably need to clean them out a little bit more to really get a good idea. But obviously he's going to have some cleanup. But maybe not too bad. Not too bad for being as high as mileage as what we thought. So really the next thing is going to be is we'll wind up taking, I got to get my new puller and put on there. We'll get that off there. I'll go ahead and get these old cooler lines removed and just clean up the motor. We're going to get these lifter and lifter trays out. And obviously I got the VVT delete coming. So we'll take the cover off and we'll change the gear out. Obviously we're going to do the cam. So we're going to redo all that. Got a new harness coming for that VVT delete. And biggest thing is getting these head bolts out. So, or getting the broken bolts out of the exhaust manifolds. So, and then of course we got a new pan for it. So we'll get all this cleaned up really nice. So here's kind of where we ended up. If you can see, we got the valve covers and the coil packs, coil wires, water pump, rocker arms, all the parts that we just took off. We'll get this other head gasket ripped off there. And then I'm going to just kind of spray it down with some WD-40 on inside them cylinder walls, keep them from coating up. once we get them bolts out, like I said, we'll get this thing all cleaned up and we're gonna start going back with everything and hopefully be good to go. So be exciting to kind of get this thing moving on from here. A lot of work to do to get it cleaned up to go into that old truck there. So that'll probably do it for this video. Next one we'll work on the bottom side. We'll actually take off some of the crank bolts and we're going to take a look at some of the bearings. We're going to check that out, see if we got any rattling going on there. But as of right now, that'll be it for this one.